All right, everybody, you know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Mr. Jonathan Simmons. We thank God for all those of you who tuned in to watch us here and also to listen to us on the legendary WIGO Pace Setter 1570 AM right here in the Metro Atlanta area. We're also very pleased for those of you who are watching on the replay. So those of you watching the archive or listening to it on a podcast, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Real Talk Sports Show. It has been a wild weekend. I shouldn't say weekend. It's actually, yeah, weekend. It's been a wild weekend, a weekend full of some ups and downs, depending on whether you were a Philly fan or a KC fan. And even if you're a football fan, as once again, a sports event in the NFL, a major one, has ended in a little bit of a controversy. So, again, it was a very, again, tumultuous thing. But we're here very fatigued because that's right, guys. Yours truly, the minister, went out to Phoenix for the week of Super Bowl 57. Now, we did not get a chance to to actually cover the game because we were not credentialed for that. But maybe in another time, maybe next year, good Lord willing, we might be out in Las Vegas and we'd be fully credentialed for not only the week of Super Bowl 58, but actually the game itself. So stay tuned here on the Real Talk Sports Show, and we will let you know as we are able to do those things. But we're thankful for what we're able to do. I had a great time in Phoenix. First time I had been out in the desert. I thought about that old song when I was a younger man. I've been to the desert with a horse with no name. That was talking about drug use. We weren't doing that, but it was really spectacular to see the Lord's handiwork up close and personal. I'd never seen the desert backdrop. Had never seen those mountains like that. We have mountains, obviously, on the East Coast where I'm from, but nothing like that with such a stark difference between again the landscape with the desert and the cactus and that type of stuff, and then now the rising mountains in the background. As a matter of fact, if you guys go to my personal page on Facebook, you will see I did a broadcast which I call Preaching in the Desert. I normally do something called Preaching in the Park. This time I wanted to bring it to you called Preaching in the Desert. And we had a half an hour broadcast where I just talked about, what the Lord can do, the fact that nothing's impossible with him, and the fact that we should enjoy each and every day that he brings to us because it is certainly the grace of God. Matter of fact, I start my ministry broadcast with this scripture, Psalms 118 and 24. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. All right, don't want to get the preacher started. You don't want to do that. You can, matter of fact, if you want to, you can tune in to me on tomorrow at 10:30 when I actually do my ministry broadcast, one of the two I do, called Clarion Call. And we try to bring out and let you look at the scriptures and apply them to kind of what's going on in real time. And speaking of real time, it's that time to bring on one of the most beautiful women in sports talk radio or TV. We know her as the Queen. Miss Tree Dolman is back in the building. Tree, welcome back.
Hi, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Now I want you guys to, I'll have to put my shades on because the glamour and beauty is overwhelming me. I want you guys to take a look at the Queen in her Valentine's Day splendor. Oh, Where's Stevie Wonder when we need him? Isn't she lovely?
Aw, thank
Amen.
you. You're so kind.
We appreciate you, Tree. Yeah. So, Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. I hope you enjoy your day or your evening. I know many of you have plans, so maybe you say, "Bro, we can't stay with you too long. We gone." So that's okay. I'm not mad at you. I get it. We appreciate you, and yeah, man, just a great day, Tree. Actually, it's very warm today too. On top of that,
Yes. Can I say something really quickly?
I want you to say as much as you want. Go right ahead.
Okay, well, I just want to give a shout out to our Lord and Savior, and just want to say that when God put things on your heart, just make sure you do them. So today, every year, what I do is for other people who I know who have lost their husbands, I go around, I buy them balloons, boxes of candy, and I take it to them just to let them know, I know your husband is no longer here. This day will never mean the same, but I just want you to know that you're still thought of and loved. And when I was making my deliveries today, one of the women was crying and she just kept hugging me and she said, I'm so glad. She said, you came right at the right time when I needed you the most, because she had just got a phone call that her best friend of 62 years had passed away. And she said, your timing is perfect. And she just kept hugging me and just kept hugging me. So I just say that to say that when God puts things on your hearts, he uses them for his glory. And just make sure that you do what God puts on your heart. So I just want to give a praise report and shout out to God, because again, you just never know what other people are going through. And that little token of appreciation that I just wanted to show her just really meant so much more than just what I thought that it would have been.
Wow, and that's powerful. Because at the end of the day, any of us as believers, that's what we really want to do. We want God to use us to be a blessing to the kingdom. And you're right, you just never know those little things he tells you in your ear, and might want to just sweep them away. But that is him usually telling you about something that's going to be bigger than you and I can even imagine. So yeah, that's powerful, and certainly be able to do that as you yourself, I'm sure miss your husband very very much on days like today.
Yeah.
Um, and so just you taking on the courage to be able to share that with us and to be transparent and to be willing to share, even like I said, even though it was difficult for you. That's everybody talks about sacrificing, but people think it means I got to climb a mountain, I got to go to India. No, sacrifice means when you have a burden on your own heart and you still are willing to press forward to be a blessing to somebody else. That's when we talk about sacrifice. The Bible mentions a sacrifice of praise, praising God when kind of it still hurts and it stings. That's when you know you have your faith in action. So certainly kudos to you, and we expect nothing less from the Queen. And we're just thankful that you listen to God, that you bless somebody, because again, like she said, it you didn't know, but it goes far beyond what you could have even have imagined. Let's go to social media here for a second here, and we have a good friend of mine, a good friend of our show, Miss Donna Jones, and she has some lovely comments for the Queen. Said, "God bless you for all that you do
Um,
for others." Hugs and heart emojis.
Hugs to you
Amen.
too, beautiful. God
Yep,
bless
that's
you
my
too.
buddy from many years. I mean, I can't, because being a woman, I can't reveal how many years, but it's been many. Yeah, we've known one another since I want to say eighth grade probably, and we're not in eighth grade
Oh,
no more. Amen. So, but yeah, we are very appreciative to you and all the stuff that you do to help the community. Like I said, a lot of it, going through, your own pain and difficulty. So again, I appreciate you, and just like I said, appreciate what you do to help other people as well. So yeah,
glory to
big
God.
shout out. Now, let me ask you a question. Speaking of the weekend, of course, it was the big weekend, and the big game was played. We can now say the Super Bowl, because before the Super Bowl, you have to be careful how you use the term Super Bowl. That is a brand of the NFL, and the shield gets kind of sparky if you misappropriate their brand. But the big game is over, the Super Bowl. First of all, did you get a chance to watch the whole game? And if so, kind of where'd you go? Where'd you watch it?
I did watch the whole game and I was with family.
Okay, cool beans. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, well, I was unable to. I shouldn't say that. I did watch most of the game when I was awake. It did appear that fatigue had set in. I watched a portion of the first half, saw the Eagles apparently looking like they were going to, I don't want to say roll the victory, but at least get a substantial lead. And then the game kind of shifted a little bit. Jalen Hurts, an inopportune fumble, allowed Kansas City to tie the game, but they came right back and had a 24-14 lead. And my thinking was with the ground attack that Philadelphia normally exhibited during the season and their number one ranked pass defense, I should say number one ranked defense, but number one in the league in sacks. I thought to myself, okay, Philadelphia should be in great shape. But then something mysterious happened. I had a little something to eat, and I thought I was watching the game, and all of a sudden, I opened my eyes and focused on the screen. It said, "We got about a minute to go here, and it's all tied up, 35-35." I was like, "What? Who?" Yes, I unfortunately fell asleep and missed all of the great action, but I did get to the end where we saw the somewhat, in some people's eyes, controversial holding, uncatchable ball, and saw Kansas City go down and kick the game-winning field goal, ironically kicked by a young man that I got a chance to watch right here at Georgia Tech, Harrison Buckner. He was the Georgia Tech kicker for a few years when we got a chance to cover them. But it's all over. The Kansas City Chiefs, for the second time in a row, are the Super Bowl champions.
And who was the only person who picked the Kansas City Chiefs to win?
Let's zoom in here on the lovely Tree Dolman. So not only is she representing Valentine's Day, but also wearing red from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Actually, I
How about
have
that?
on pink. It's just a bright pink
Okay,
though.
okay, gotcha. My bad. See this. Let me. Dang, like look, Tree. Look, I got my regular glasses on too. I still couldn't.
That's okay. It's a bright pink because with Valentine's Day, a lot of people either wear red or pink. So I chose the pretty in pink.
Right, that is correct. Well, it looks good on you, and
Thank
yeah, like I said, it was a great game. And I guess that's going to be the question. Hopefully, Mr. Poole, who has experienced that glory a couple of times. How it is every time these games are played, and it's a good game where you have a great performance. Immediately, people use terms "greatest of."
right.
So my question is, where do you rank this? Was this one of the all-time great Super Bowls, or is it okay? Or where would you kind of rank this in the pantheon? Top
So,
10, top 5, top
well,
20?
I'm going to give my reason first for why I rank this one up high. And the main reason is because this was the first year that you had two African American quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl. And we know that the NFL is over 85% African American for Black athletes. And for this to be the first Super Bowl in 2023 to have two Black quarterbacks, it just goes to show how phenomenal things are moving. A lot of people also know or may not know that a lot of Black quarterbacks were told they couldn't play quarterback. So we had way more Black quarterbacks, but they would change their position. So that to me is already a step that's showing of greatness. And the fact that you have the MVP of the NFL and the runner up as the two quarterbacks, which also goes to show the great talent. And then you also have, for the first time, the two brothers playing against each other with the Kelsey brothers. That also is another great. So there's just so many things before the game was even played. And then when you look at the play of the game, it was such a phenomenal football game. So, do I think it's one of the greatest? I would have to say yes, because there were just so many records broken, records tied. So, that to me is what makes it great outside of just wonderful football that was just being played. Anytime that you're breaking records or you're tying records for the most that's done in the NFL, and it's a great game that you're going back and forth and it wasn't a blowout. So, yes, because of those reasons, I will say that, yes, this is definitely one of the best football games that have been played for the Super Bowl. What's your opinion?
Well, first of all, I think you might have some agreement from Miss Monica Carroll. I think she was actually making that reference to the earlier, things that you were telling us about how you reached out and gave to that lady. But in any case, she got the
Yeah, see,
see all you female athletes know about this. See, you guys don't know, but the lovely Tree, yeah, she's a baller now. Make no mistake.
a
Yeah.
beautiful
So
one.
right, that's right, that's right, that's right. Well, here's the thing for me. I mean, I guess it's one of the reasons why I kind of pressed my way through to go out to Phoenix, even though I'm not the wealthiest man in the world, because I did think about the fact that, first of all, and we want to give a shout out to the National Football League. I'm going to call them by their government name, for the fourth time in 5 years, credentialing us officially to be part of the media contingent to cover the week of the Super Bowl activities. So we appreciate the NFL for that. And so I want to get that out of the way. But yeah, I felt it was important to go because of that reason. The other thing too is what you said. It's very rare in life that you get an opportunity to be a part of history. And I said to be able to be there to see that it's only gonna happen one time. The first time that two black quarterbacks square off. So it was just great for me to be there and to see that and to be a part of that and just feel the energy. As you know, you've gone, several times yourself. There's such an energy around the Super Bowl week, which I think a lot of people are not aware of, the fact that there's so much stuff that goes on besides the game.
Yes.
You got activities here, there, everywhere. It's just a lot of good stuff going on. But speaking of good stuff, we're going to let you guys take a look at the good stuff that our sponsors do. You're watching the Real Talk Sports Show, and me, the minister, and the lovely Queen, Miss Tree Dolman. We'll be back with more. Don't go anywhere. Thank you very much. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
All right, guys, we're back here. You're listening and watching the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and right next to me is the lovely Queen, Miss Tree Dolman. And I believe coming on board, I think I'm looking in the green room. I may see him. Everybody talks about Super Bowl champions, but we, in fact, have our own Super Bowl champion. He's not a one, but two-time Super Bowl champion. He's a member of the Fort Valley State Sports Hall of Fame. He is a motivational speaker, and he's also a physical trainer of newly renowned. The one and only number 38, Tyrone Poole, is back in the building. Tyrone, welcome back, sir.
Hello, everybody. How we doing? Hello, Miss Tree. How you doing, Jonathan? Hello to all the listeners and viewers that are watching Real Talk Sports. What's happening?
What I've talked about, baby. Tyrone, the flexer, the man, the strong man. What's up, Mr. Tyrone Poole? Did you get a chance to watch the whole game, part of the game? How much of the Super Bowl 57 did you see, sir?
Say that again, Jonathan. I was turning up my volume. Come again.
No worries, sir. I was saying, did you get a chance to watch the whole game? And what were your thoughts on the outcome of this game? 38-35, KC, the winner.
Yes, I did watch the game. I didn't watch halftime. I watched a little bit of it, but then I left and kind of like my locker.
Real much for Tyrone.
I left it. That's my locker. Hey, maybe it's still in my blood. At halftime, we're in the locker room. So at halftime, that was my time to get away from the television and go to the restroom and come back. But I did watch the game, man, and it was what I expected. Great game. I know a lot of people try to pull certain plays out here and there, but let's not forget there were probably over 60-something snaps offensively and defensively. So if there was one play out of 60 that people want to say that this was a bad play, well, there were 59 other plays that could have made a better difference. So, but I get it. That's why they tell us in sports, you got to play every play. play every play because you don't know which play will be that play. Okay. And don't be that guy. But no, I watched it. A great game. Again, when you have Andy Reid, who I put him right up there with Belichick, man. I'm like, like they say Tom Brady and Peyton Manning or Dan Marino and Joe Montana, or you want to say Terry Bradshaw and Roger Staubach, or whatever you want to call it. Andy Reid has cemented himself. I always thought he was a great coach, even when he was offensive coordinator at one point. So when you got Patrick Mahomes and you got Kelsey, and I still think Philadelphia's still trying to. I think they're still covering Kelsey in Arizona right now. So they're like, who got him? Who got it? Where he at, man? The game over with, man. Game over with. But no, great game. Great game.
Yes, I would rank this. I mean, you know how this, Tyrone, and I know this kind of rubs you the wrong way, but it's always the media looking for a story. Now, immediately, okay, where's this rank? It's one of the greatest games of all time. Where's Patrick Mahomes in the GOAT tree? So let me ask you, where do you rank the Super Bowl game as far as would you get top 10, top 20, top 5? What are your thoughts?
It's in the Super Bowl. It's in the top 57. How about that?
Oh, good answer.
Again, you could go all the way back to when the Cincinnati Bengals played the San Francisco 49ers in '89 on that very last drive. I'm like, when you talk about a team who has the championship in their hand, okay, the Cincinnati Bengals had the championship in their hands. The 49ers had to start from their own 15 or 10-yard line, and Joe Montana kept. And Cincinnati still trying to cover Jerry Rice, and game over with. But again, Super Bowl 57 is just like all the other Super Bowls. At one time, people were saying the game that we played Carolina in, was one of the best games or whatever, because at the time of the explosion of all the scoring. So, people going to write papers to say whatever. So, all the Super Bowls are good. Okay, that's how I look at it. Other than the Super Bowls that got blown out, like when the Bears beat the New England Patriots back in the day in '85. That was a lopsided Super Bowl. You don't want no games like that.
It's a bad game, and kudos. I mean, reality, man. I appreciate your humbleness here. But that game that you guys played in was one of the great all-time Super Bowl games because it was a classic matchup between a team with a heavy underdog playing against a team that was heralded as the greatest show on turf, had one of the top 10 offenses, not for the year, not for the decade, but in NFL history. And you guys found a way to throttle them down and hold them to just it was 17 points. I think the final score was 20-17, if I can remember correctly. So no question, man. That was one of the top 10 games of all time, no doubt about it. This game is probably, you're gonna have to look at it maybe 4 or 5 years from now to see what other games stack up, see where you put it. But there's no question it was a great game. No, it was a great game. Even though I fell asleep on a lot of it, it was a good game. And you're right as far as that play. I mean, because it's great as Jalen Hurts playing that game, record-setting game. Put himself up there with Joe Montana and Steve Young as guys that threw for 300 yards and ran for 40 yards or more and accomplished a total of 4 touchdowns aggregate. Yeah, man, he put up some numbers, but people forget it was his fumble that kind of shifted momentum away when he just, I don't know if he got hit. This looked like the ball scored out of his hands. Next thing I saw nothing but, red helmet running the other way. So yeah, there's a lot of plays in that bowl game that could have shifted the tide for Eagles victory.
And even with that, there's a reason. I'm just give people a little bit of insider information, like insider trading, stocks. I love inside trading. You know why teams actually defer? The good teams defer to the second half. Why not? Hey, we want to talk. Why not just let's go ahead and set the tone and let's get the ball and go down and score. Anybody ever wonder why the team that really has a good offense or a good team, they say we defer to the second half? Maybe somebody in the chat, somebody watching, if you know the answer to that, we would love to see what your take is on that. The question is, why do teams defer to the second half when they win the toss to start the game? All right. And
I'm putting it on social media. I'm putting it on social media right now. Why do teams
defer. When they
Defer
win the opening, when they win the toss, they defer to the second half. I'd like to see what people respond
ball.
think. Why do teams that win the toss defer to the second half? Win the toss at the
Teams
beginning
by
of the corn
And
flip.
while you're typing that, are we still
Yep, go
talking
ahead.
about the NBA too, or are we only doing Super Bowl?
NBA,
No,
NFL,
I
you
mean
know,
let's we kind of got into the Super Bowl because obviously that's the that's going to be the hot topic for a minute. But yeah, we got to talk about the NBA only because of what happened in the very city that the Super Bowl is being held in. So yeah, once we come out of the break, which will be in about 5 minutes, we'll go ahead and cut away and talk a little NBA because yeah, there's some breaking news, huge news coming out of the NBA, which I'm sure Treat would like to talk about. And it's a lot going on in our city, Atlanta, but that's a whole other story. Okay, why do teams prefer to get ball to start the second half when they win it?
but yeah, they'll
Okay, keep talking,
those.
I
guys. Yep,
can't wait to see what's put in the chat. That's a
yep,
great
find out.
question.
Yeah, we're gonna see how many true fans that we have out there. This is where we discover when they say pretenders, and Tree know exactly where I'm coming from. You got pretenders, and then you got contenders. All right. The pretenders are the ones who are always talking about they know sports. They don't know sports. But then you got the contenders. Those are the ones who know. They could probably be a doggone good coach, even though they're at home watching the game. They could probably be on the sideline and do a heck of a job. But then you got those who are pretenders. You know what? They just sitting on the sideline, looking at YouTube, listening to other sports shows, which you should not be. You should be listening right here, Real Talk.
That's right.
Right?
Tell the
But,
truth.
yeah, so they getting there. They calling Jonathan, getting their information from Jonathan. Jonathan, what do you think about this? And Jonathan leading them down the wrong path.
Wow, that we gonna do it right there? Is that what you say? I'm trying to mislead people? Darn it!
I'm just joking.
I am shocked and appalled. I don't know why this is not. Why I'm saying that. Okay, let's go ahead and just hit this thing here. Let's add the banner. Yeah, let's pop it up. Let's see if it pops on the screen. There it is. Oh, it disappeared.
Yeah.
One more
So,
time.
so we got some good stuff going on in the NBA. What's happening in the NBA, Tree?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So hang on
I
a second.
thought
I'm gonna take an early break. I'm gonna take an early break here, guys. Don't know where we want to talk the breaking news that hit the NBA. So you guys hang tight, hang tough. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. You know what? In just a minute. So don't go anywhere. I'm telling you, don't leave because we'll be back. Hang tight.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net.
All right, guys, we're back here. You're watching the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm host Minister Jonathan Simmons. Right next to me is the lovely Queen Tree Dolman, and beneath us, the champion, Mr. Tyrone Poole. All right, we're going to shift to the NBA for just a second, guys. Take a little break before we get back into more of the NFL and Super Bowl. All right, Tree, tell everybody, unless they've been living in a cave, something big happened in the NBA. What happened? Something.
Are you talking? You're talking about the shooting, right?
Well, before we get to shooting, I want to talk about the big trade that happened in the NBA.
Oh, the trade. That's what I want to talk
Yes.
about. Okay, so
Huge
the
trade.
first thing I want to say is thank you, Kevin Durant. Thank you for going to Phoenix, because if Kevin Durant did not go to Phoenix, John Collins would be in Phoenix. So thank you, Kevin Durant. Because of you, we get to keep John Collins here in Atlanta with the Hawks. That's the first thing. And secondly, one of my former Detroit Pistons is now an Atlanta Hawk. So we have Saddiq Bey. Yay!
Saddiq Bey is now an Atlanta Hawk, and they're looking for him to do some big things too with Atlanta. So, yeah, interesting trade. So now, you remember now, it was just last week I was saying, oh yeah, Dallas is now the new favorite. Well, I got to pump the brakes now because KD and Chris Paul, that's going to be a nifty combination. and they now have to be considered a huge threat and even
Mhm.
probably favorite to at least get the NBA Finals and maybe win the NBA championship. Tyrone, you think I'm getting ahead of the curve here with that?
You know what? I got a question. Um,
Sure.
and I heard this question proposed before when this trading and all that stuff had started. Are we beginning to see the end of the big three, so called, that you need to win a championship? Has it gone back to chemistry, or let's stay with the big three? You get three big names and you're going to win the game. Or is it get some great players that can play together? I'm like, are we seeing the end of the big three? We just get some guys that can play together. You at least got to have two guys. I definitely believe that. You got to
You
have
gotta
a
have
good
to do right. Well, that's one
guy.
thing you're right. You can't get away with just having one dude. You gotta have at least two, and both guys, the two guys gotta be really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Kevin Durant, leaving and all that stuff, I'm like, really, when you look around, do you even see teams that have truly three big names that are out there doing it? Kind of like when the Golden State Warriors, they had almost like the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s. I'm like, the Golden State Warriors had a whipstick, man. I'm like, it's like Golden State and who else? It's like, Dion, I love him, great corner, play here in Atlanta. But it's like Dion covers this side of the field and everybody else do what you got to do. So it's like Golden State Warriors are playing who in the finals this year? That's how dominant they were. So are we getting away from that? Do you guys think we're getting away from that? And they just try to find chemistry, man, chemistry.
What do you think?
I think yes and no a little, because when you look at a lot of these teams, you do, especially if we're talking about Phoenix, you have Chris Paul. I mean, if you just look at their potential starting roster, I mean, that's a dominant roster. You still have Devin Booker, who is a
I'll
top
say right. So that's
player.
technically a big three. Yep.
Yeah, so it's, to me, it's still like a big three, big names, three big names and dominant players. And I see the same with Golden State Warriors and just other teams. So I think yes and no, but I think that a lot of players now are going to teams that have other dominant players as well because they want to win a championship. Whereas back in the day, I feel that a lot of players, well, I don't like that team, so I'm not going there. And now it's like, yeah, I didn't used to like that team, but now I'm going to go join this team to get a ring. And as long as they have some people that they think can help get the job done, it seems like it's definitely happening easier for people to trade. But I think I'm still seeing a lot of teams that have those big names, and so far I still see three of them. But I think in the sense of what it used to be like, I can see where the NBA is shifting and going away from that.
And I guess my definition of big three is like, again, I just intertwine the sports. Okay, football, basketball. Okay, let's take the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s. Now, when I say big three, I mean you could take any one of those players and they would go and be the center focus of another team. That's what I mean in big three. You can take Michael Irvin. He always go somewhere and be the number one receiver. You take Emmitt Smith, he will always go somewhere and be the number one running back. Troy Aikman, he will always be the number one quarterback. So when I say big three, that's what I mean by big three. These guys are big in their own, and they're trying to come together to smash mouth and just beat a team down. Not someone who's a very capable, good player, but someone who, they are the marquee player. They are the marquee player. So should I say, get rid of the big three and say the big three marquee names coming together to try to win a championship. Maybe that should have been a better way to put it.
Yes. I mean, it's the league is it different? It is to some degree. I think with Golden State, it's hard to picture them as having the big three because if you look at Steph Curry, he's such a megastar. But it's like I said, if you look at Clay's stats, this was a guy that could have been considered top 100 player. This is a guy that I think scored like 40 points in a quarter. I mean, so this is a guy who's a great player. And then to Draymond Green, again, I'm gonna be real careful with this. I can't compare him obviously to Dennis Rodman because Rodman was a dominant rebounder. He was a guy that led the league, I think, in rebounds a couple of times. He was an all-defensive player a couple of times. I think he even won Defensive Player of the Year. But Draymond's kind of like that. And so, to some degree, could you say they had a big three, DB? You look at Milwaukee when it was Giannis. The problem is Giannis was such a megastar, MVP. The other two All-Stars he had on the team, he kind of overshadowed them. So, I guess to answer the question, I'm kind of like Tree. I guess it does appear that it seems like teams can win today more with team chemistry than just saying, I'm going to take three superstars, put them together, and we're going to just, like you said, dominate, the league. But the crazy thing is, as great as the big three was in Golden State, they still wasted a 3-1 lead and lost to Cleveland. So not like they became a dynasty and won, 3-4 championships in a row. Nobody could beat them. Yeah, I mean, they had that huge season. As a matter of fact, they set the record for most wins and then messed around and lost a 3-1 lead and lost in the finals. So, yeah, I guess to answer the question, I would think that teams are looking more towards building. And I think some of that also is cap related. I think it's getting to the point where if you got 2 or 3 guys that have max contracts, I mean, how many can you have on the team without you going way over the cap and having to pay a penalty? So I think you're going to see as these salaries escalate, guys, signing $260 million, $300 million contract. I think any team, you can have 2 of those guys, right? You can have a third. Can't afford it. So yeah, I think you'll see teams moving more to more of a team chemistry concept. 2 guys, maybe 2 mega stars or really big stars, and maybe a third guy that's kind of on the fringe, but you're not paying them that max money and keep them under the cap. So we shall see pretty soon. Now, real quickly, our Hawks once again lost. Tyrone, they must have heard you talking or something, bro, because they gave up to a 15-win team 144 points. Not 124, not 134, 144 points. Trae Young came on and said something. I said to myself, man, well, that's your fault, not him personally, but the team's fault. How can you score 138 games in the NBA, 138 points, and lose the game?
What did Tree say? Defense. 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 Tree, you got your D. Hold up the D. I'm gonna hold up the fence. Defense. You gotta play defense, Jonathan.
Defense.
Hey, I'm telling you,
defense.
No defense, man. I'm like, that right there, that 138 to 144, that's an NBA All-Star score, man. They play no defense. They just passing the ball and they just seeing who can score. That's what that is. That's an all-star.
It was just terrible. I mean, it was really like a horrendous situation. I mean, I think that they shot like 60% from the floor and close to 50% from 3. I mean,
and there were a lot of
Gordon Hayward. Well, they had a bunch of turns. I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, the thing I think that's the most irritating about this team is they have games like this where they don't seem interested in playing. It seem like, hey, man, we're gonna beat these guys, or whatever, and they just don't seem to put the effort in needed to win these games because even Trae himself said it. Defense is more effort. It's more effort. You can have scheme, all kind of stuff, but defense, you 2 guys know better than me. Defense is effort. It's about you getting in the man's face. It's about you positioning yourself properly so the man can get around you. It's about you cutting underneath screens. That's effort. That got nothing to do with you jumping out the building. It's effort. And this team consistently, when they lose these games or going these up and down stretches, is because they are not willing to put the effort in. I don't know whether it's a Nate thing. I don't know whether they're not hearing his message anymore. I don't know what it is, but I mean, they need to go for the rest of the season. They got to play like 65% ball. They got to win. I think there's 23 games left for them to really be in a position where they're not in a playing game. They have to go to me. I'm thinking 15-8, 16-7 over these last 23 games to make sure, they're in the position where they have to do the playing game. Because if not, man, they're going to be in the same position they were last year.
Correct.
It's ridiculous.
I think towards the end, we have a lot of home games of that stretch, which will be good for the Hawks because they do play very well at home. But one thing that they will have to do, and it will be very necessary for them to come out on top, is that they're going to have to start winning on the road more. And they definitely need to, as we've all stated, play defense. There were too many layups scored that were uncontested last night. And it was just really making my head hurt watching the game. It was just like, why are they scoring so many points in the paint and right under the basket that was just so easy? That bothered me. And I will say that John Collins was not playing, but we did have Clint Capella and everybody else. DeAndre Hunter played excellent defense, so definitely can't include him in that. He was phenomenal on the defensive end, but we just need to make it difficult for people to score in the paint, and especially layups and easy dunks that are uncontested. That was really what appalled me the most, because there were too many of those that took place. And that's what you really have to protect. You protect the paint, you protect your house, and you do not let people score easily in the paint. And it was just too easy.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to get that turned around. I mean, you just can't win like this. I mean, and you again, to Tyrone's credit, he mentioned the fact that really offensively they're not that bad. Matter of fact, in the last few weeks, they moved back into the top 10 in offense. I think they're number 7th overall, but I mean, their defense. And the crazy thing is, that was one of the reasons why they brought in Dejounte Murray. Now, to his credit, he's top 5 NBA in steals, and oftentimes the Hawks will put on the top scorer from the other team, so he's been okay. But the rest of the team, like I said, what happened after those first 5 games? I mean, it's like after that, they say, hey, man, we going to roll to the NBA championship. No sense us playing hard every night. So, again, I think until they can get consistent with their effort, this team is going to, it's going to be a shame that this team actually might be totally destructed and rebooted after going to the NBA Finals just 2 years ago, and us thinking they were 1 or 2 players away, from an NBA championship. It's crazy.
And something else that I see is a missing element. I know you mentioned passion for defense, and I definitely believe that whether it's offense or defense, you just got to have a passion about yourself. And I think they got to stay hungry. I don't know how hungry they really are. And when I look at all sports on any level, okay, again, take football, the Los Angeles Rams. I think they were too drunk off of that Super Bowl victory, and they lost their hunger. And they might have lost a few people here and there. Well, you know what? I've been on teams where we've lost a few people here and there, but we've had the nucleus of the team still in place. And the most important ingredient was hunger. I'll close with this: the Cincinnati Bengals. Why did they continue their last year play into this year? I believe because everybody in that locker room reminded each other to stay hungry, man. And when you stay hungry, you're able to win consistently and always be known as that upper echelon team. So I don't know. I just think maybe some hunger. They may have the passion, but do they have the hunger? So,
I don't know whether it's because, people started saying they have the talent to do this. Whereas if you remember the run to the Eastern Finals, the Hawks were talking about, we got a chip on our shoulder and nobody thinks we deserve to be here and Nobody thinks we got a chance even against Milwaukee. Before that, no one thinks we have a chance against the 76ers. And they played with almost a reckless abandon. They had no fear. They were not intimidated by anybody. I mean, they went right after Embiid. Of course, everybody remembers the famous, John Collins dunk on Embiid. And matter of fact, had enough the Italian guys called cayuns to actually have a T-shirt printed with the dunk and wear it to the next game.
That was priceless.
Right. That was swagalicious. See, and you need more of that in order to win big games. Because Tyrone, you guys know that. See, here's the thing: the Patriots had an undercover swagalicious. See, they came out like, we just playing a Belichick system and we clean cut guys. But hey, man, that game against the Rams, the Patriots, their thing was Bills had hit them early and often. If you watch clips of that game, all Tyrone and his boys are doing is every time the Rams touch the ball, we gonna hit y'all. Even sometimes you don't touch the ball. And it was an energy. There was almost an anger. And you got and that's what the Hawks had 2 years ago. Everybody, The Euros, guys that were normally, low-key guys. I remember Gallinari got the mohawk haircut, came out, ran, got the crowd pumped up, banging away down low. It was energy. And that's what this team lacks. This team doesn't have that fire. Now, I don't know, maybe the leader of the team is kind of a cool guy. Maybe that's not his thing, but they're going to have to do something, man, because they have enough talent. They got enough talent to make moves, but they
I
let
think
me stop.
success can be a lousy teacher, man. Really, success can be a lousy teacher. And success is a lousy teacher because success tells you that you have made it. You have made it. Okay. But you've only made it to that level. That's another level to go to. But I think sometimes people achieve success and they say, hey, we made it. We made it. So now the red carpet is supposed to roll out in front of us, every time. So I don't know. I just think that's
Surely not.
It's funny that
All
you
right, guys,
say that because Thielen was saying, which if you don't know who Thielen is, he plays for the
Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings. And well, yeah, I know both of you know I was talking to the audience, but he plays for the Minnesota Vikings, and he was asked if he thought it was a good thing or a bad thing that they won some of the games that they shouldn't have won, but things happened and then they pulled out the W. And he said that he felt that those wins actually hurt them because when you win, sometimes you evaluate the game differently because you got the W, but had they actually got the loss when they, in his words, deserved that loss, that game, it would have helped them do a self-check, a reflect, and he thinks that it would have pushed them to a better place, and he felt that they would have gone further. So it's funny when you say that, Tyrone, because I agree completely, and that's one of the things that I was saying during the season where I was actually not thinking that Philadelphia would continue to keep winning and go far, because I felt that sometimes you need that loss to help you reflect and redirect. And it's kind of like what Tyrone was saying. If you just keep winning and keep winning, you think, oh, we're just doing everything great, blase, blase, blase. But those losses a lot of times can propel you to make changes and then get to the ultimate goal of winning the championship.
We're going to take a break on that note, because when we come back at the end of the break, we're going to wrap it up with a little look at the week of Super Bowl 57. And who knows, maybe the minister might take the strong medicine from some of the lumps and bumps he took during the week of Super Bowl 57. We'll be back with more. The Real Talk Sports in just a moment. Don't you go nowhere. I mean it. Don't go nowhere.
Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions, or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
And we're back here at the final segment of the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons. Right next to me is the lovely Queen Tree Dolman. And right underneath us is not just a champion, a two-time champion, Mr. Tyrone Poole, number 38 in the building. Guys, I got to tell you, I will tell you the Super Bowl experience this week was fantastic. But it really showed me that you have to really have a made-up mind to proceed when things start going to the left. Because the minister's trip started off the wrong way as he went to the right to Terminal T when he should have went to the left to get on Terminal B. By the time he turned around all sweaty with his multiple bags, they told him, sir, the door has closed to your plane and you will have to make other arrangements. They said, we're now going to have you go to Charlotte and hopefully you'll get on a later flight. which I did after flight 1 went, and flight 2 went, and flight 3 went. Instead of arriving fresh and clean in Phoenix at 9:57, I arrived a little bit tattered and worn at about 7:50 in the evening. And I will say that there were a lot of twists and turns after that. But thank the Lord, I said, you know what, I'm here now. We did get a chance to go to the Super Bowl soulful celebration and saw a 78-year-old Patti LaBelle get down, get down. It's amazing the pipes on this woman at 78, how she came out there and did her thing. Matter of fact, let me see if I can get a little picture of the lovely Miss LaBelle, who's got blonde ambition, had her hair dyed blonde and everything. Let me see if I can get a picture of her. And yeah, it's just great. Tyrone, I know you have been to the week of the Super Bowl. I did mention last week that things kind of, they still kind of stay the same, but it seemed like some of the guys, I mean, some of the stuff that you guys had to do were a little different. I mean, like you had, these morning press conferences and the afternoon press conferences. What did you personally do to kind of keep yourself focused and on track? As some of the other little things you had to do around the press and around the game, at that week, right before the game.
Jonathan, could you bring that question
Wow.
back one more time? You were kind of choppy a little bit there.
All right, no worries. Let me slow it down here. Yeah. So what I was asking you is that there's a lot that goes on in that last week, and I know you guys have a schedule, but it did appear that there were other things that you guys have to do, like it was afternoon press conferences, early press conferences. Some guys had to make appearances at fundraisers. What did you, Tyrone Poole, do to keep yourself focused, saying, "Hey, I got to stay on a particular schedule, even though it's Super Bowl"? What did you do?
Well, that's why the NFL tries to get all that stuff out the way in the beginning, and really only some of the superstars are basically requested for interviews, not the whole team. They do the whole team on media day, and some of the guys don't get interviewed. They just walk around with their camera and videoing and everything like that, going live. But as the week progresses, then you're only going to get requested interviews from those people who the media feels like will have an impact in the game. So it's kind of easy to manage that because after practice, that's what we would normally do anyways, right? So most of the media they either are allowed to come to the practice, or once the players get back to the hotel. It may look like they're in a different place, but really they have a media room already set up. So once they get back to the hotel, the PR guy, he just grabs whoever and says, "Hey, the media want to talk to you." And when the guys get back, usually that is their time to go shower, clean up. Usually it's around dinner time, so maybe a couple of hours before they have team meetings. So it's kind of easy to really navigate because it's really kind of structured towards the way we practice on a regular week at our stadium.
Gotcha. The reason why I asked that is because, like I said, again, they seem to have the last quote unquote media day was actually on Thursday. You know what I mean? We had access to the players. I think it was Chiefs in the morning and the Eagles in the afternoon, or vice versa. Well, you're right. They actually bused us. So you drove out to the team hotel, and what they did was they had, as you mentioned, the star player, which was either Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, head coach. But then they had some little room. We had about 8 or 9 guys that you could interview in their little booths. And then right next door, you had it seemed like another 20 or 30 players just like sitting at tables, waiting. And these are the guys that didn't play too much. But it's just pretty interesting. I was thinking to myself, I mean, this doesn't seem like something y'all would do on the regular, having something like that. So that's what made me think and ask about that. But, man, it's just a lot of moving parts. Tree, how about you? Now, you've been to the week of Super Bowl. What are some of the things that kind of stuck out for you, were either fun or the most intriguing when you would go to Super Bowl?
For me,
Yeah.
the thing that I love the most is just the experiences for the fans. I love that they have the NFL experience. I think that that's a family fun event. The kids, you just see them having so much fun. They get to go through different courses and try different things. And sometimes they get to see some of their favorite football players that show up, or different people that come and make appearances there. So the NFL Experience is one of my favorites, as well as the Taste of the NFL, which is an event that my husband always participated in. And that's just really good because you get to taste foods from around the world, and you have these great chefs, and then you also have football players there representing different teams. But I love the events that the fans can partake in, and it just really, to me, it just brings a lot of things together. And then, of course, not to mention the fashion show that the NFL Wives put on every year to raise funds, and then we always donate those funds to a charity in the area, and also sometimes a smaller charity in the area as well. But pretty much all of the events that I love include the fans and just fun experiences, because to me, that's what it's all about, the experience.
Speaking of, let me see if I can kind of share my screen here so we can kind of see some of the stuff that was going on here. I think I might have something from the fashion show, so if I can get that on and pop in here so you guys can see it before we get going. Let's see. I think this is it right here. This is the fashion show, I do believe. Guys, there's a little bit more here. Also, we'll see if I can get a peek at yours truly with the Hall of Fame.
All right, guys, we're here with we know this, the Gold Jacket Hall of Famer Tim Brown. Had the whole family out. Tim,
Hey,
what's it
man,
mean,
it's
man, to
going
be
good.
out here again with the whole family supporting what the wives are doing this year?
Yeah. My wife, helped start this thing years ago. So happy to be here. Happy to be here to support.
Good to see you, man. Always good to see the guys, the Gold Jackets out here supporting the ladies.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. Good to see you.
Good to see you. God bless.
Take care, brother.
There we go. So I did get in a little quick little interview with the Hall of Famer, Mr. Tim Brown, wearing the gold jacket. And yeah, what they basically do is the women had the men out there on the runway. Guys were strutting their stuff with the wives, and I think it was perfect considering we were coming to the weekend of Valentine's Day. So yeah, great stuff for fans. And if you guys want to take a peek, I'll be having some more stuff up on social media. Go to Real Talk number 7. I got some clips actually borrowed from the wives. And kind of a shotgun effect, all the stuff that was going on. You'll see also my interview with Darius Slay. Actually, I caught up. He always tells people Slay. I said, Darius, no, Slay. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go on our YouTube and check out our interview with some of the Eagles. Guys, tonight, we are shutting it down a little bit early. 9 o'clock is our shut off time. So you know how we do it, guys. Before we get off the air, we want to let you know how you can find out more about our co-host. So we'll let them go as we always do. Mr. Tyrone, the floor is yours.
Well, always a pleasure, Jonathan. Always a pleasure. The Queen, be hanging out with the Queen, and always great to hang out with those who are watching and listening. You want to follow me, keep up with me, Tyrone Poole 38 on all social medias. Thank you, and see you guys next week.
You know, I like to smile. Looking behind trophies, baby. Not one, but two. Tyrone Poole. Thank you, sir. All right, Miss Tree Dolman, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. You can find me on social media at Purple Diva 13, as well as Ms. America International 2022. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and be blessed.
That is for the Queen. All right, guys, it's yours truly, the minister. I am actually a real life minister. I didn't get my license from a cookie jar either. I got it from the Calvary Baptist Church in Norwalk, Connecticut, where I was licensed by my pastor, Mr. Jeffrey Ingram. I want to give a big shout out also, in case she's watching, to my lovely host of the Airbnb, Miss Jennifer. Appreciated you. You made your home feel like my home. It was a great place to be for 4 days. She literally was right in the middle of everything. I was only 20-minute drive from anything I wanted to get to for the most part. So again, thankful for you for opening up your home to myself and actually a couple other guests that were there also covering and doing Super Bowl events. Well, guys, you know, one thing I always like to tell you is that you need, if you don't have already, a relationship with God through a relationship with his son, Jesus Christ. Well, how do you do that? First of all, repent of your sins. Believe that Jesus, Mighty Yahashua HaMashiach, came here, walked upon the earth, fully God and fully man. Then he did something unbelievable. He actually died one of the most horrific deaths ever, death on the cross. But wait, there's more. He rose from the dead. And when he did, two wonderful things will happen. If you believe in that and you confess your sins, number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, you become an adoptive child of God with all the rights therein. That means that you now can go to God like a loving parent, asking for anything you need or desire, and he'll grant it unto you according to his will. And number two, when you die, you go to that spectacular place called heaven where there's no pain, no pandemic, no bad people everywhere, anywhere. The buildings, every single one, are adorned with the most spectacular jewels you can ever think of. Matter of fact, even the streets are paved with a gold that's so pure, it's translucent. And you avoid that nasty place called hell where bad people everywhere. It stinks, it's dark, it's dreary, and most of all, cut off from God, Jesus Christ, all the people that love him, and many of the people that love you forever and a day. I don't know about you, boys and girls, but I like option number one. It's option number two. All right, until the next time when we see you again, you know how we do it. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whichever may apply. So long.
Bye.